Yeah, we see the cut kind of play around the timings from Lil Nick, like kind of just dominates mid. They build off of that snowball and just play off that momentum. So Arkosh targeting Lil Nick is a fairly strong move from them. Of course, just makes Candace Volpus have an easier time. The literal Armenian beast
Absolutely.
wants to have a good game mid, so we'll see if he can get control with these targeted bans. You do see the cut clearing out with a couple of Chorus Troll plus Monkey being taken out, and they do start with a Void Spirit, so that could be our Little Nick hero down mid. Highly mobile, plays into your Clockwork and NP really nicely, considering how fast the cut can try to heroes up front, and it's a lot of aggression already early on for the cut with this kind of draft, so we could see them, again, take that emphasis around the 10-minute mark for their NP. Once they've got level 6 as well on their Void Spirit and Clock, they could just go for those objectives as you mentioned earlier on.
Absolutely. We did see Lil Nick playing this Void Spirit Game 2 in the previous series that we were casting as well, and Lil Nick was, again, very, very dominant. He seems to enjoy these Spirit Brothers in the mid lane at least. Of course, Arkosh, however, taking something that was very influential in that previous series as well from the cut. We saw Pingu in both games playing Witch Doctor and making a real kind of fantastic performance from him in that series on those Witch Doctors. Arkosh, however, is going to be able to take it for themselves now, and this hero does seem very powerful in the position 5 role right now, that Witch Doctor. Kind of a support that can actually kind of solo pretty much anyone on the map in the early stages of the game with the Death Ward Maledict. And even throughout the later stages, Maledict just never really seems to get bad. It's always pretty darn good. Mind you, John, that does mean that Arkosh has basically just told us that it should be a Venomancer offlane we're seeing here. So there you go. They kind of reveal a bit. But I still think the Witch Doctor is a pretty potent pick to have here.
It is. It helps you sustain a push with your heals. The control, the Maledict, as you mentioned, is really nice. We'll see if Arkosh can fully maximize that Witch Doctor in a pause 5. A lot of things to cancel out, say the Death Ward in this game, though. Clockwork, Battery Assault, Cogs, a Remnant from the Void Spirit, so you might not be able to get the full channels you'd want here. And you also see the cut dip into the Pangolier, so looking like we're probably seeing maybe a Pango 4, perhaps an NP4 as well. The cut does have that flexibility on hand, keeping the cards close to their chest. Arkosh do go with the Embers, so we're looking at more than likely Arcanus Volpus hero down mid. To go against that Void Spirit. So it's a Void Spirit against Ember. Down to a lot of mechanical skill. We're going to have to see how Lil Nick, again, holds up to the actual beast, Candace Volpus. I just can't get over the fact that they had to call him out like 7 hours before this match. They already kind of called out Lil Nick with Candace Volpus kind of showing off his bod there.
Well, this is literal demons in a team, John. They're literal demons are playing Dota right now. These aren't good people. They'll just go through any length possible to try and get the win, and we've been seeing that a lot from Arkosh Gaming as of late. Of course, many victims from the side of Arkosh so far. Well, we'll wait out these last picks so we can see how these drafts are going to finish. Going back to the Ember pick, I do like that into the Void Spirit though, right? Like having the chains available to just lock down the Void Spirit throughout the game could be quite influential. Perhaps could be slightly annoying in the mid lane, just going 1v1 with the Void Spirit versus Ember. But it should be a pretty even matchup, I would argue. I can't really see one hero really having that big of an advantage over the other. But I suppose the Ember is going to have that, the influence of having that magic damage and not really caring so much about the Resonant Pulse of the Void Spirit this game. But other than that, I'd imagine it should be a pretty even mid lane matchup just based off the hero picks.
Yeah, it's going to be, again, relatively even down to just how far you push your heroes. Void Spirit can clear the wave quite well. Embers can as well. Maybe we see the support rotations be a big part. Shaker is a really potent support to go down mid by the level 2 mark. Get a block off down mid. Clear out the Void Spirit. But Void Spirit can opt for an early Dissimulate to kind of bail himself out. So it's a back and forth one for the cut in Arkosh. We'll see how much emphasis the supports will put in those early rotations. I love this last few banouts from Arkosh as well. They take out the Weaver and the Wraith King, which we have seen Scourge McDuck really play well. And they do take this Jug out for Arkosh. So a well-tied up draft. You see a lot of healing coming out with Witch Doctor Jug. You've got this aggressive lane that can come out as well with Maledict and the Cask bouncing around from the Witch Doctor. Jug has some options to spin to win on top of whatever comes out from the cut in that lane. But the cut can now maybe go for a much more aggressive pause one themselves. The Jug It's a very stable core, but has some pretty sensitive timings and pretty wide itemization here for Arkosh to build around.
That they do. Of course, the cut does have one last pick to make, and it should be the position 1 here for Scourge McDuck. You mentioned the Wraith King obviously already banned out, and that was, again, another position 1 that we did see in the previous series. Scourge McDuck having a really nice time on that Wraith King. But he'll have to show us something different, and it is going to be the Terrorblade, which does look quite nice into the jug, right? Should be a pretty nice matchup for him. He doesn't really care too much about the spin anyway. And I imagine if Scourge can just kind of get a good laning stage and rotate to the jungle, after that laning stage, he should probably have a very, very nice game. There's not really much in the way of disrupting Scourge McDuck here on this map from just farming up on this TB. Not much that I can see anyway.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy time for him this game, though. There's a lot of magic damage from Arkosh already. You've got the Venomancer on hand, Ember Spirit as well, who can also naturally build up Spirit Vessel if they wanted to. Maledict is going to cause some issues for Scourge McDuck as well. So I think Arkosh actually has a pretty good response for the Terrorblade on hand. But if the cut does play around their Metamorphosis timing here, there's a lot more push coming out here. Nature's Prophet plus Terrorblade can melt these towers quick. And the cut does have 4 really solid heroes to, again, go globally ganking if they want to. They've got a lot of high mobility for the cut. Like Pango can gap close really well, and P can just show up anywhere in the map. And as soon as Pingu hits 6, Clockwork Force, you've got the hookshot to worry about as well. So I'd say the cut, as long as they protect Scourge, as you mentioned, are going to have a good time. Arkosh needs to play with his early magic damage they've got, with the early D-push they've got with the Venomancer, and kind of hold off from what the cut wants to do here with their early push.
With that, John, we are going into game number 1 now, and it should be a real banger between these two. We'll see who can take the first game advantage. John, I never really asked you, and I realize you just explained these 2 drafts, but which one did you prefer more?
It's a difficult one to say. I think on draft, on paper, both sides are relatively even. I'd probably give the cut a slight edge. Okay. I think the Terrorblade's in a pretty good spot, as long as, again, it doesn't get caught out by, say, early fissures into Gale coming out here from Arkosh. If they just keep playing this gank train in TB, it could be pretty hard for Scourge to bounce back in. And that's really all I want to see from Arkosh. Just aggressive lanes has to come out here and just kind of try to keep Scourge McDuck from playing his game.
It should be a very entertaining one. We are Lil Nick, Roblox Lego player. what has Lil Nick done for these guys to pick on him so much? Kane is having issues. Fair enough. It's I really appreciate the trash talking here from Arkosh, though, right? Like, you take any advantage you can get. If you can get into the mind of the other mid player, you do it. And there you go, Lil Nick correcting him, saying Minecraft. Lil Nick obviously in very high spirits, John.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with a little Minecraft. You know, everyone loves Minecraft.
Never played it,
Lil Nick, of course. Never played it. Seriously, huh?
I've literally never
truly
touched it.
Shows us how much a boomer you are, Mike. Thank you.
I was a bit older when it came out, actually. And I remember seeing it. And I was like, what is this garbage game? Why are people so into it? I never tried it, though. I've never downloaded it, never played it. I guess I'm missing out. You're probably trying to say here, John? Have I missed out?
Mm-hmm. I'd say so. I think all the way back in Minecraft Alpha days, if anyone actually remembers that. Kind of small. Little Nicholas. Little Nick. Oh. He has really got something out here. Let's see if Canis can hold up.
Look at these guys. They're sucking up to the admin now. Disgusting stuff.
I will not
Kyle. I have never seen this much love for an admin. Like, in all our time.
I'm telling
Kyle
you, John,
getting all the love. That's amazing.
It's Arkosh, John. They've got to get every advantage they can get. They play quite dirty. This is not a team you're used to casting, John. You be prepared for the shenanigans that they will bring out. With that, though, we do have the dual lane. Of course, Gremlo and Crow, they're going to be going down towards the south on the Earthshaker and the Venomancer. For now, Canis in the mid lane, and Goat is also going to be around with him on the Witch Doctor. Just places a nice, quick Observe Ward in that mid lane for Canis. Looks like Goat and Canis may actually go down towards the south as well to see if they can set up a first blood down at that bot rune spot. Mind you, the Cut might have the exact same idea. They're also currently set up around that area. And they have plenty of heroes around to try and go for a first blood attempt, and you can see Pingu already kind of rotating in now. They'd love to get started with this Ember Spirit, but Canis is going to be able to spot him out, and should be able to get out of range of Pingu before he can get the battery assault off. And with that now, I'm sure Arkosh... Are they still going to try? I don't know about this. They're going up to the high ground, but the disadvantage is there for them. So Gremlo, he might pay for this. Vol is going to be there as well, but a nice Fisher from Crow to block the way. So now Pingu's stuck. Pingu having nowhere left to go. He's trying to go back up towards the north, but he does eventually go south. And that'll be first blood going to the way of Goat on Arkosh. And that's a really nice Fisher coming out from our Earthshaker. Just blocking the way so they couldn't really fight as a team. A great start, in fact, Crow getting another block off on the creep wave before we even get the laning stage started.
And this is exactly what you want to see coming out from Arkosh, making use of the early control and the early damage they do have on hand. Gonna set them up pretty nicely having that first blood. This dual lane of Crow plus Gremlo, level 1 is pretty darn nice already, but once you hit that level 3 spike, once you've got the enchant on top with Diffuser, or at least the Aftershock as well, and Gremlo has perhaps his Poison Sting up for the right clicks. Not going to be a fun time. We're going to have to see how much Scourge can get with his first Metamorphosis, and if Pingu can really get some zoning here.
Pingu, he's going to cop a bit of damage there by Gremlo, of course, getting the Gale out. And Scourge should be able to farm fairly safely for the time being. Of course, we'll have a look at the other lanes while we still have a chance. You do have Lil Nick there up against Canis Vulpus in the mid lane, so the Void Spirit versus Ember is something we kind of discussed in the drafting phase, but I imagine it should be fairly even between these two just based off the hero picks. It does seem like Canis Vulpus, though, is able to get quite a bit of damage in onto Lil Nick prior to the, well, even the 1 minute mark. Lil Nick should be just fine. I mean, he has plenty of tangos available. Is probably going to save his goal to try and rush that bottle ASAP.
Yeah, and this is going to hold steady for a lot of levels. I think level 6 is the big spike for these two heroes, but we're going to have to watch out if there's going to be a scuffle over those power runes. Both heroes will want an early power rune out, so we'll see if the supports again can get that rotation in. Should give us some time to look at the other lanes as well. Up top, you've got Pale Horse on his Jug, is laning around with Goat, and Goat already level 2 has the Maledict to toss around. It's just pressuring off Vol. Tingle King is holding steady as well on his Nature's Prophet. So rather even up top, not too much action. You are seeing Pale Horse get a lot more out of this lane, as you're not really able to get as much zoning as you'd want with this NT with a Blightstone up. Like Pale Horse just allowed to kind of farm up steadily here, while Vol is just kind of zoned out fairly well by Goat.
Well, it does look like the side lanes are going to be where all the action is occurring. In fact, bot lane, Scourge not going to find himself in trouble, but is going to be able to get out of range and hide in the tree line. And is going to get very, very low, but does manage to survive. Unfortunately, it does appear they don't really have a salve. Right now anyway, but there is a courier coming out. But no, that doesn't have a salve either. So a bit of an awkward position right now for the Cup. But Pingu, he's going to try and get started. The nice cogs off onto Gremlo. They will be able to secure the Venomancer kill. And Crow, he will be able to get the trade. But I believe that is going to be a positive trade going to the way of the Cup.
Yeah, it's a back and forth trade. Scourge gets some space out the farm though, and you get the reset in the clock. So he gets to come back in with that salve you mentioned. Gives Scourge a way of regenning up, and Scourge gets to get some safe farm with just the solo lane while he doesn't have Metamorphosis. So that's a fairly good call from Pingu to zone out the Venomancer and gives Scourge just a little bit more space in this downtime.
Another nice Fisher though. Crow setting up again, but Gremlo doesn't really want to move forward. It looks like Pingu was ready to just go on the backside and try to get a battery assault cogs off if necessary. And they might try for a play very soon here because they've got the meta back up. So assuming Pingu can land the cogs, it could mean the death of Gremlo or Crow if they're not too careful. Of course, top lane though, Tingle King's going to be in a spot of danger. Does barely manage to survive as he did not have any Melodic, but now Vol's going to cop a fair bit of damage. He's going to be alright as well, but now mid lane, Canis Vulpus trying to kill Lil Nick, but no, Lil Nick is able to get the kill first and gives the tip straight over to Canis Vulpus. And that's what you want to see here from Lil Nick, just domination in the mid lane and an immediate tip straight after.
Yeah, and he gets easy access now to the power rune, gonna get a fresh refill for his bottle. He's gonna hold this lane just fine despite getting the reset on Canis Vulpus. And it's already a pretty good start for our Void Spirit. A slight farm lead in terms of last hits in the creep wave. And now with that kill, he's going to hit level 6 earlier. Not a good sign for our Ember. It's going to give Lil Nick a lot of opportunities to play with that Astral Step Up soon.
We have to be careful though, because Canis now comes in with full HP, full mana, so he is able to really play a bit more on edge here up against Lil Nick, but it looks like our Void Spirit is not going to be overextending anytime soon. Meanwhile, on the other lanes, going pretty passively for now. Did see Pingu falling quite low on the Clockwork, but that is to be expected up against the Venomancer. It's like Crow is having a gander, and actually that ward did spot out Pingu now, so they are going to try and go onto the Clockwork, but you do see Scourge coming in from the backside onto Crow. They do get one, and the deny out. Scourge McDuck finding everything off that engagement.
I deserve.
At least Arkosh, they do manage to get the bounties down at the bot lane, but that is a really, really great pick-off there for the cut. Meanwhile, top lane, however, Pale Horse finding his own pick-off onto Vol now. So they do get a return kill for themselves, and even mid lane, Lil Nick trying to go onto Canis Vulpus. They're fighting back, however, in Canis. He's able to get the kill this time around. Just barely able to kill off Lil Nick, and both of them were basically out of regen. And so he kind of returns the favor in this mid lane.
Yeah, not exactly what you'd want to see from Lil Nick. Canis, of course, just having a good time there. Vault hoping for the pick-off with a swash, but not quite enough. So that does even out the mid. Start for Void Brothers so far. Canis Vulpus, of course, has a bounty rune to pick up as well, so he's not going to be forced home just yet. Does have the Remnant down if he wants to TP home anyway. And you are off to a rather even start here. 3-4, less than 1k lead up for Arkosh, and Vol does snag away a nice Invis rune as well.
That he does. It's just all about denying it away from the Ember. And Canis doesn't really have, he's not too low anyway. He does have a bottle charge left, and he will commit it straight away. Meanwhile, Vol does make the rotation down towards the bot lane, where he does spot out Crow. Just needs Pingu to break the gap here so they can actually make the kill attempt. Seems though Arkosh might realize something is a little bit wrong here down in this bot lane, and they'll get started straight onto Gremlo. Veno in trouble, but Crow is there to block off Pingu. Still they continue, but here comes Goat. With the cast flying out, they do buy enough time, but now Crow's going to be in trouble. They'll continue the chase for a little bit, but Pingu, he will back off, and now the turnaround does come in from Arkosh. But Pingu looks like he will be just fine to walk away from all this. So we do have a bit of a tri-lane versus tri-lane situation now down at this bot lane. Ultimately, it still seems to be favoring the cut as Scourge McDuck, he's not really struggling to farm here on this TB. In fact, Vol is going to walk up to Goat now. It's going to be alright, but they do go for the Gale out onto Scourge McDuck with the fish around, and that might be enough damage. Scourge trying to survive, but he cannot. He does go down, but now Gremlo also dying, and they also found Goat on the Witch Doctor. But you'd have to argue for Arkosh that is well worth it, being able to take down that position 1 Terrorblade.
Yeah, it's a big pickup for Arkosh. They did want to keep that Terrorblade down. You mentioned it, but Scourge was having a bit too good of a time down bot despite being up against the Venomancer Shaker. So that kill was definitely necessary. They are sort of sacking their top lane for this though. Pale Horse has, he's caught up in last hits, but you were seeing Tingle King really apply that pressure with his right-click damage, and now you've got Scourge rotating up top. Does have Metamorphosis ready, so it's time for that tier 1 push up top.
They are very good with these timings, the other side of the cut. I believe they had the exact same timing in their previous series, just rotating around the 8-minute mark. Because they don't really have a siege creep here, but they just tend to use the units and illusions they have to force the push. But Pale Horse is going to be there to dissuade that. Even Canis Vulpus now rotating towards the top lane on the Ember. He sees a lot of heroes around and he doesn't really want to engage into this. I believe Arkosh might just have to let this tier 1 tower go, but Pale Horse, he's still trying, but eventually he will just back off. They might just try and force a trade on those tier 1 towers. But Pale is still sticking around. In fact, the TPs are going to come in. Arkosh, they want to go for the fight. Canis is going to go straight after Tingle King. He is in trouble. The chains are out with the cast to fly out, and they will end up taking Tingle down and successfully defending that tier 1 top tower. They have a bot lane.
Gremlo then bot.
Yeah, they got Gremlo on the Veno, and Gremlo, he's going to die to Little Nick now. So a bit of a trade in both lanes. In fact, is that a Pangolier dying? Yeah, Vol, he is dropping low to the Gale damage, but looks like he's going to be just fine. Ultimately, a 1-for-1 trade on both offlaners.
It's a bit better for the cut, considering the chip damage they did get on that top tier 1. Gonna be gone in just another step. One more shove out should do the trick. Lilnik, of course, getting a nice kill for himself as well, helping him catch up, or at least start to get a little bit more out from this Void Spirit is always nice to see. And overall, again, despite those exchanges, we're still really even on the board, 6-6, less than 1k lead coming out for the cut. No tier 1s falling yet, so a lot of emphasis on just countering each other's push so far. It's going to be a bit longer until you see Scourge McDuck make his way outside the jungle. Metamorphosis is down for about minute 10, so he's just going to farm up towards that Yasha first. That should mean that the pressure is really on Tingle King and maybe Little Nick if they do want to get some action on the map with.
Oh, Pingu's in danger. Up in that top lane, he's been maledicted up, and the Fisher does come out, and Canis Vulpus once again on the Ember, finding another kill now, 3-1 for kill score. Still mid lane, they are trying to surround Gremlo here. Rolling Thunder going to come in from the back. Gremlo going to try and avoid it. Does actually sidestep nicely, but Vol will eventually go into the back lines on the supports. Meanwhile, Tingle King is going to get taken down, but they got Crow on the Earthshaker. Vol's going to be in trouble now. They don't have a stun out, but Canis with the Haste Rune is going to keep going. However, Scourge McDuck now coming in. Canis, has he gone a bit too far? It looks like he has not. Not quite yet anyway. The Haste Rune, he is just going to back off after getting a very nice double kill for himself, but Lil Nick now gonna have a play around here with Canis. A lot of damage going onto the Void Spirit, but it's like the Ember will end up eventually backing off, not wanting to overextend a bit too much. Again, a very nice engagement there from Arkosh Gaming.
Yeah, and while all of that was happening, Pale Horse just got the space he needed to farm and push out bot, although up top, Tingle
lane.
King.
Oh, that's a Echo Slam being committed. They just wanted to stun him up ASAP. They didn't have the Fisher off cooldown at the time. Tingle's still trying to run, but Scourge McDuck, he's going straight after Goat on the Witch Doctor. They will get one, but Canis is going to go back in now on the Ember, but no, he wants a way out. The Sunder is there onto Crow. A great hook shot there from Pingu, holding down Canis. Can they get the damage out though? Not quite. He'll be able to remnant away. Still looking for more now, and they do actually run into the Earthshaker. Crow also going down, and well, that's an amazing rotation out from the cut. The only problem being, though, Pale Horse is pushing in that mid-tier 1 tower. This is some great aggression coming out from Arkosh. Tingle, he will rotate now to try and sort this out. Gets the Orchid off as well. They have the damage output. Dissimulate is there, and it is going to be enough. Pale Horse, not expecting the Orchid usage, is going to go down.
And that's a really important pick off for the cut. They get the deny on the mid-tier one as well, so they take off some of that gold. They do have less control on the map, though, without that mid-tier one. So their bot jungle is sort of open now. That could be a location where Arkosh focuses on getting that farm up. But overall, again, we're still looking at a really even game. 10-10, 1k lead for the cut, but that's not significant at all. We're seeing some key timing start to be met by both sides. Canis Vulpus is very close to finishing up his Maelstrom. On that Ember Spirit, we're also seeing a Maelstrom build for Pale Horse, so a lot of Maelstroms on hand just to clear out those treants and the illusions. We'll see if they can make use of that in a relatively quick fashion here for the side of Arkosh. One more thing to watch out for, of course, is Crow's Blink time. So level 7 on the Shaker, Blink just about 400 gold off, around that much. Once you have that in Crow, I think you can really expect Arkosh to be much more aggressive and ready to go with that Blink up on a Shaker.
Oh geez, that's a great scan out as well. Just at that bot outpost, just making sure that there was a gank coming, and indeed they do confirm it. I believe it was Canis Vulpus who got that scan off on the Ember. However, Gremlo not really respecting the scan, apparently getting caught out now by Lil Nick, but maybe it's a bit of a bait. They are moving in to try and take this team fight, but no, Gremlo, he's already down. The cask is going to fly out, but it's not really going to do too much to help out their Veno, as he does die. It's going to mean a 2k net worth lead now for the cut. And while this game does still appear very even, you look at that Terrorblade, John, and you know Scourge McDuck, he's going to start escalating in farm quite fast if this kind of aggression from the side of the Radiant does keep up.
Oh, Vol?
Top lane, Vol ends up catching the Crow as well. Vol is just going to make his way out of there, but Canis Vulpus is going to try and come in and get some revenge. He does get a nice chains off, and Goat will secure the kill, in quotations, on Vol. Vol will go down.
Oh yeah, It's a nice pickup. You're still pretty happy with Vol. Force a rotation out from Canis Vulpus. And then that frees up some space here for the cut to smoke up. Lil Nick and Pingu ready to go across. And this is what we were talking about. They've got a lot of long-range engage, and they're looking down bot.
They are looking down bot indeed to go after Pale Horse. Orchid is there, but do they have the vision?
Ooh.
No, the Sprout won't catch him, but Lil Nick, he gets the Yules off. Can he connect the Remnant? He will not, and that'll mean Pale Horse maybe could get out, but no, a great hook shot there from Pingu, but now the Omni's going to fly through. Pingu's going to die for this. They need to find the trade onto Pale Horse, and they will. It is going to end up being well worth it for the side of the cut, and Pale Horse, he gets something for his trouble, but definitely not what he would have liked.
Oh, little Nick stuck around.
He did. Canis is going to chase him down, but the Astral Step is going to be there. Does have 3 Remnants available just about on the Ember if he wants to really commit to the chase. Little Nick is out of Astral Steps, but looks like he is just going to be able to walk his way out of there. Like Pingu even TPing into the mid lane to make sure he refills the full bottle for Lil Nick. Now they might try to force another team fight. Teleport in. There is the reflection flying out, and Lil Nick just jumps in straight onto the goat and blows him up. Onto the Earthshaker now. They found Crow as well, and Vol trying to control up Canis, but he will not be able to. The Remnant away will be good. Still with that, the cut now will be able to start moving in towards that mid-tier 1 tower, and they will be able to get it pretty much for free. Another great engagement here from the cut.
They're starting to widen that lead. 15 to 12, 4K up now on the cut, so definitely a clear advantage coming through. They haven't been able to keep a good eye on Scourge McDuck. This is what we talked about from draft. This Terrorblade's been allowed to just stay in the jungle, farm up. Does have a nice gold lead over our Jug now. And Arkosh, they got this pretty good blink timing on Crow, but they haven't been able to use it yet. They do smoke up. They still have Echo Slam ready. They could find a good opportunity with this item.
That they could, John, and they are going to move their way in through the mid lane. And looks like Gremlo was around to try and bait out for his team. I hope they know that's an illusion. They should. The smoke will not break. Arkosh will realize that they are in the triangle somewhere. Well, they're going to loop around the long side. Back to all Scourge McDuck. He's going to get caught out here. Canis realizing someone's around, and now the Echo comes out. Perfect initiation from Crow, and Canis Vulpus will finish off the kill. And that'll be the 7th kill of the game for Canis. And that's what you want to see out from Arkosh Gaming. They've got to find this Terrorblade over and over again.
The right target at the right time there for Arkosh. Very fortunate for them to catch out.
What triangle, John? A Pale Horse. We might experience what Scourge McDuck just experienced, and here comes Tingle King. He TP's right in, has the Orchid available if he wants to commit it, and Lil Nick is going to jump in as well. Hook shot from Pingu is good, and that means the Pale Horse will indeed die. Pingu, he might go down for their trouble, and does, but now Vol going into the supports. In fact, no, he wants a TP straight out of there, and they cannot cancel it. With that, the Jug going down, of course, very worthwhile for the cut. Kind of evens out the kill that did happen on their own Terrorblade.
It's still not the cleanest kill for the cut, though. Trading away Pingu like that, not the ideal circumstance, but you'll take what you can get. Arkosh, though, still wants to play aggressive. They smoke up once more. They might catch Scourge in the same spot.
They found him exactly in the same spot. There is your Poison Nova flying out. Scourge, he does have the Sunder. He needs to try and fight back. Nice man to dodge into the Sunder, and the silence is there. Canis Vulpus will drop, and now Lil Nick going straight onto Gremlo. Gets the Yules off into the Aether Remnant, and with the Dissimulate, he is going to be able to finish off the kill. That's a great bit of coordination out from the cut, John. Sunder into Orchid, so Canis could not Remnant away from that. It's just perfect, and they'll go straight into the Roshan pit afterwards.
And that's going to be a big objective for the cut to take. Arkosh have no real options coming in here right now. Even if the respawns come up for their Ember, they don't have Slam, and the Roche just falls way too quick. There's a lot of right-click damage coming out with Tingle King and Scourge, and it's going to give them a second life to play with now on Scourge, although Crow...
Looks like he's going to try and buy some time, but they don't have the Echo for another 20 seconds, so it could be very, very tough to contest this. He does have the blink in. Fisher could be perfectly timed, but no. It was a close call, but it wasn't quite there. Meanwhile, Vol apparently giving the tip over to Pale Horse, and I'm not 100% sure why. Pale Horse is just farming down at the bot lane by himself right now, so not sure what that was about, but Vol just feeling very confident. Top lane, meanwhile, Lil Nick. Aether Remnant going to be on target, and that'll mean Crow is going to die. Pingu this time, the one to take the kill on the Clockwork. That's a 9k net worth lead now, John. And that scares me quite a bit for Arkosh Gaming.
Yeah, it's a scary spot for Arkosh to be in. They didn't keep a lid on that Terrorblade. You're seeing Tingle King and Lil Nick, again, on top as well of that net worth chart right now. Arkosh need to play around these timings. They've got Slam back up. They need to play with the magic damage while they can before BKBs can come out. And they just need to keep finding those angles. They have to be aware of the counterfight potential of the cut, though. And don't underestimate the mobility they do have on hand. And just play while they're strong, although Vol.
Yeah, Vol getting caught out here by Canis Vulpus. Cast is going to fly out. He is trying to swashbuckle away, but Crow is going to be there now with the full control. I mean, Canis does manage to pick up another kill for himself. Still, the net worth lead is still going to be a massive problem for the side of Arkosh. And knowing the side of the cut, they are a very, very good team. They will use this net worth lead to their advantage. Already we see them up at that top lane pushing into tier 2 tower. Does mean Pale Horse is going to do the exact same thing down at the bot tier 2. They should be able to evenly trade these out. But you look at the itemization right now on Pale Horse, and you even look at Canis Vulpus, it just feels like they're kind of lacking the damage now to really deal with the heroes on the cut.
Yeah, I think this magic damage build is the right idea, but we're looking at BKB timings flying out soon. Scourge is only about 700 gold away from his full BKB. Once you have that, this magic build is just not going to touch the Terrorblade at all. They need to make some plays happen now, and they are in a good spot.
Pingu trying to back himself out of this. He can hookshot if he so wishes, and he will go back in onto Goat, but Crow is going to be there with control against all the TPs are coming in. They want to go for the fight. Lil Nick, a great silence out with that Aghanim Scepter, and they'll just jump straight onto Canis Vulpus. He's trying to rim it out of there, but Lil Nick has the control now with the Yule Scepter. The cast, though, is going to be enough to buy him time. Lil Nick could not get the Aether Remnant to be thrown out. He might still be able to snipe Goat, and he will get a blind. Lil Nick! Oh, this man is a monster.
Oh boy. Yeah, he's on fire today. And Lil Nick, you know, they did challenge him, Arkosh. They did tweet out about Canis Vulpus dominating Lil Nick. Looks like Lil Nick stepped up to the plate this time. They find a good set of kills, 21-16, 11k up on the cut. Arkosh, it's starting to lag behind a bit. I think the one hurting point is really Gremlo right now. Has Tranquils up, 4 staff up, so it's all utility on our Venomancer. No ags just yet, and nothing else being built up here.
Don't say that about Gremlo on stream, John. Gremlo doesn't get to eat very often. He probably isn't going to eat tonight either, John. Canis Vulpus going to catch out the Pangolier. They will get the illusions out from Scourge McDuck, and Vol is still alive. In fact, a nice sun round. It's risky. Scourge McDuck, though, feeling confident to be able to survive through all this, as now the silences are there. They do kill off Canis into the rest. Lil Nick going for more. They'll kill off Goat. Pale Horse is going to try and fight this one out with the Omni, and he does get one, but was it worth it? He mantas off the silence, but Lil Nick is still around. The Echo does come out from Crow, but it was only on one. They'll jump back in onto Pale Horse. They get the kill. Now back into the backside. They want to jump the Veno and the Earthshaker, but they'll leave them be for now.
Pingu?
Pingu is slowly dying as Gremlo is getting jumped on, and Crow actually gets the kill, but this may cost Crow his life. In fact, it will not. He will be able to get away with murder. Still a very, very good team fight out for the cut. Arkosh, they're just getting the shorter end of the stick every time, John.
It's not shaping up too well. They're still trying to throw their bodies out. I think them trying to take these fights now, it's more choice. The issue is that BKB we've been talking about is up in Scourge, and it's still at 10 seconds
Canis.
as well, though.
He's trying to go on Lil Nick, but he will just astral step his way away. He lets him know about it as well. Very nice there from Lil Nick. Just not good news when you're getting these rotations forced out here from Arkosh. Nice Aether Remnant there. They want to fight over that power rune, and it is indeed going to be a regen now with the silence out from Tingle King, TPing into the back lines. They do stun him up for a second, but is it going to be enough? Canis is in trouble, but he does manage to remnant away. Meanwhile, Go trying to channel the Death Ward, but he is going to die for this. So Pale Horse will come back in with the spin, but that's not going to do anything up against Scourge McDuck. Hookshot is going to be blocked by the creep wave, and that should be the end of that team fight. So they don't really have much more to throw out here from Arkosh.
It's going to open up that mid-tier 2 push now for the cut, though. They've got Metamorphosis running for a bit longer. Not a very safe defense here. No slam for half a minute, so Crow's not going to be able to get that damage off.
No, that he is not. Still 15 seconds left for the Echo to be back up, and that might be Q to try and make another play here from Arkosh. It's just so tough to find a big kind of group up to get that Echo Slam off on. They are going to smoke up with it, though. They're going to give it a crack. Scan is going to catch out Pingu that is in the triangle, but that's going to be the only person that was there, and Pingu is going to make a run now. They might still be able to catch him out. So Pale Horse is going to spot Pingu for a second, but it's not really the target they want when you've committed 4 people to a smoke. Instead, they'll run into Vol, but Vol looks to be pretty safe as well. And he can always pop the Rolling Thunder to just roll away if he wants. It's like nothing is actually going to come out of this smoke rotation from Arkosh. It just leads to nothing.
It's not good signs. They do need to find these kills. I think if they're not going to find a smoke kill, they have to maybe play a bit defensively, focus on fighting around their tier 2s right now. They do have Slam. They do have Omni Slash as well. They're only missing Nova, but that's not too far off. They do have good hold around these objectives. They are really lagging behind here. There's 17k up now on the cut. We're seeing the Scotty being built up here by Scourge McDuck, just lacking that point booster next. And once you have that, you're really going to have a hard time ripping through the raw HP. It's going to be on the Terrorblade. They did go all in on this magic build. BKB's been holding them back from that one. Would want to see maybe a pivot here for Pale Horse into something more physical-based for the Jug, but the Jug is just so sensitive to these timings that I think you're probably better off with Candace Vulpus going for the physical build, but he is focusing more on getting the Gleipnir, getting utility out first. So for now, it looks like Scourge McDuck will just be a menace every time he shows up. You just do not have enough raw damage to really eat through this Terrorblade anymore.
Well, this game's getting to the point as well where Arkosh might have to rely on a high ground defense to really get a win. Back Pale Horse now. You get jumped by Lil Nick. Lil Nick going to keep up the chase. Does have another Astral Step, but won't end up committing it. Meanwhile, Tingle King, Crow does spot him out, does get a fish route as well. He can keep him perma-stunned up here. Echo committed, they want everything onto Tingle. He can still try to TP and he's going to try for it with the silence out, and he is going to be able to get away with it. And Crow literally threw everything he had to try and kill off that Nature's Prophet. And that's going to be 2 minutes out without an Echo Slam available, John. That's going to mean Roshan for the side of the cut, and they go straight for it.
Yeah, Aegis and Cheese on the deck here for the cut. Without that slam, it's going to be really difficult for Arkosh to come in. They could try to be cheeky with Can's Vulpus, but without any wards by the pit, they're just not going to know in time, and that's going to be another big objective taken out here by the cut, giving Scourge McDuck another way of being up in front. And you can see the all-chat timer there as well from Goat.
Oh, Goat. What have they found there? Oh, it's going to be Pale Horse. He's trying to farm in a bit of a dangerous position, assuming that the cut wouldn't have backed off like that, but the cut read him like a book. He must be looking rather pale right now, John. Definitely a very, very hard game here for Pale Horse. They are going to start moving their way up towards the north once again, the cut. And Arkosh, oh, they're in a tough position. I'm not really sure what they can do to pull this one back. I think at best, you've got to kind of hope for a high ground defense where you get a pretty big Echo Slam off. Apart from that, I probably wouldn't try to engage in a team fight if I was Arkosh Gaming.
No, definitely not outside unless they can find the pickoffs. Canis does reveal his Gleipnir though, so Vault's aware and does tick down to less than half HP from that reveal. but I don't think the Cut's going to be too worried. They've still got a long time on that Aegis. They're split pushing now with Tingle King. This is something else the lineup of the Cut can do really well. But there's Nature's Prophet, and of course you do go for the Sprout build. The Shard coming out, I believe this is what a lot of my friends call the Jenkins build, for good reason. So you've got that amazing split push potential now with a lot of Koreans flying in, which Arkosh can hold off, but they can only focus on the lane at the time. And that does give Scourge Mucked the space to clear out the last outer tower. So nothing but the high ground left here for Arkosh. They can still play with that. Again, Echo Slam, Nova, all of those spells are really good in a tight confined spot. They just need to be a bit more patient. They need to understand that they are a bit too far behind to play outside. And the BKBs flying out as well for the Cut, like this additional BKB for Lil Nick, means that you're going to have issues keeping the Void Spirit down as well.
Absolutely. Top lane, he does pop the haste. There are two heroes around. It could be a little bit dangerous for Lil Nick to jump in on that. Instead, they will split out Pale Horse in the mid lane, but no, Lil Nick, he wants to go after that Witch Doctor, and that'll mean Goat does go down immediately. The Crow, a big Echo coming out. Do they have the damage though? The remnants are there, but it's not doing too much, and Pingu does hook shot in. They kill off Crow onto the Ember. Canis Volpus trying to survive, but he just can't survive the damage output. Just way too high from Lil Nick and Tingle. And with that, I believe they could just go high ground. There's no buybacks available for Arkosh.
No buybacks, no Echo Slam as well. It's going to be a tricky defense now for Arkosh. Really have to say this casual pipe of insight coming out here on Tingle King really saved his bum there. Like just that spell shield coming out, the magic reduction as well. Ensure that the double slam and the magic damage focus on our Ember just couldn't do enough. And with the power of NP plus Terrorblade, they're taking 2 lanes at once here.
They are. Very, very strong kind of lineup here from the Cut, and we talked about it in the drafting phase, John, but these guys are very good at executing those objective-based plays. Now, this could be the final team fight as Pale Horse. He's going to come in, but he's going to have to fight into the Metamorphosis of Scourge McDuck. Hookshot is going to be there onto Goat. The Witch Doctor in trouble straight off the bat, but they go after Gremlo instead. In fact, it's all split up right now. They don't know who they want to go for. Goat, however, is still going to die. Now Pale Horse is in big, big trouble, and he will also go down. He does have the buyback, but they just call it. They've had enough of this game. GG in game 1 will go to the way of the Cut. I've got to tell you, John, the Cut, they are looking very, very strong. Because it was a bit of a rocky start to the game, but once you got around that 15-minute mark, it was just all the Cut.
Yeah, I mean, the Arkosh had the right idea there. They were finding those early kills with Crow and Gremlo on the Veno Shaker. They just didn't get enough. At some point, Scourge McDuck still finding farm whenever Metamorphosis was up. You did see the Cut occasionally even find kills with their Clockwork there as well. So they were still finding stuff in lane. I think Arkosh maybe need to be a bit more in sync. They did go all in on magic builds overall, just to get the deep push off with Maelstroms. They had no way of fighting up against the Cut once that pipe and BKBs were flying in, which is, you know, the timings were still met by the Cut. I think Arkosh just needed to play a bit more aggressive. We'll see if they can awaken for game number 2, but the Cut set themselves up with a nice clean win in game 1.
Absolutely, and with that, of course, we are going to move on to the game 2 draft after a 10-minute break. It is MLP Dota and JohnXFire. We'll be back after 10 minutes for our second game. I'll see you soon.